Welcome back to the Crazy J Podcast Show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today, folks, we're going to talk about sports, the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders. It's just going to be something that we gotta at least talk about. Every week, I try to talk about Detroit, and every week try to talk about the game itself. And this game is no different than any other of the week. Detroit just looked real good. They looked old fashioned. It looked like they went back to the running game to get Jamal Gibbs going. They got David Montgomery a little bit more of the juice. Laporta was involved right in the beginning of the game, and so was uh, Williams. He just everything looked like it was an old fashioned oiled machine, and this is something that we've had issues with this in the past couple weeks with John Morton as the offense coordinator. But here's what we have to do, folks. We just really got to talk about this guy, Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell, I think he kind of listened to someone or something out there that said, you know what? I have to learn this playbook better. I have to do something about this. John Morton in the past, when he was with the Jets, he and the head coach of the Jets at the time, and he just did not play along very well with the players and the coaches of the Jets in 2018. And that's something that we cannot have happen. We cannot have 2 weeks in a row. We couldn't go. We just couldn't lose to a team that's already struggling. We got Daniels for Washington, who's out. That team is really struggling to keep their composure down. Obviously, you saw the guy that I just mentioned get ejected from the game, and Quinn couldn't put things together for that team. But really, folks, this is the first time I've seen him, Dan Campbell, with his reading glasses, and I'm not really sure if he was the one making the play calls, but I'm sure he was the one that was actually giving a yay or nay, or maybe suggesting the plays and then to be run down to Jared Goff, and it just seemed to work really well. You could tell that Laporta was involved. You could tell Williams was involved. You could tell that everything kind of meshed to the running game. Everything seemed to be uh, on cue. If you want to really look at something, folks, um, Detroit within the first 3 drives scored something. They scored a touchdown and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in the first 3 drives. But if you look at the stats for Detroit, Jared Goff had 320 yards. He had 5 for 33 for 3 touchdowns. Jamal Gibbs had 15 carries, 2 touchdowns, 142 yards. Uh, Williams had 6 receptions, 1 touchdown for 119 yards. Um, Brian Branch had 2 sacks. Well, they took his sack away to make it 1.5 sacks there for you folks. Jack Campbell had 9 total tackles. Jack Campbell always looks like he's doing something, like he's always there in the right place at the right time. That's something that you want to see in a guy, in a linebacker, and can't always rely on Hutchinson or as Alex Alonzo uh, to do everything for you. So we have this Jack Campbell is just doing the job for you. Uh, Everything that we get, I mean, if you look in the first drive, Detroit uh, gave the ball right to Jamal Gibbs for a 14-yard touchdown. Everything, even that drive in itself, put Laporta in a situation where it looked good. It looked really just it fit in and just made everyone touch the ball. Montgomery touched the ball on the first drive. Um, Jamal Gibbs touched it. St. Brown touched it. Uh, you had 10 plays for 78 yards, and it took off 5 minutes and 4 seconds. That's a drive. That's what you want to do. You want to be able to control the clock. You want to be able to maintain the defense of the other team to get tired and worn out. So they just can't come back. It kept obviously Marcus Morona of the uh, no out of the offense play line as well because he wasn't playing. I mean, again, everything just seems so fitting. Um, but we should say that uh, Washington Commanders didn't just lay down and sit around. They did have a huge a kickback return from from I don't know who he was, but Bates, the kicker of Detroit, made a tackle. Now it wasn't really a great tackle, but he got him out of bounds. Uh, even Arnold had a good defensive play in the first drive against the Washington Commanders. So it was nice to see Arnold back out there, not making a lot of penalties, not making a lot of mistakes. I don't remember him having any penalties actually, so I don't know if what I'm saying is right or wrong. But for that field goal, Washington had the ball for 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The second drive for Detroit, Amon St. Brown, a 9-yard touchdown from Jared Goff. St. Brown reached for it and made everything as what you want to see. You want to see your ace receiver touch the football and get in the end zone. So everything, I mean, it just seems so well-oiled machine. We had St. Brown with 2 receptions for 25 yards. We had Montgomery with 15 yards with 2 runs. Laporta, he had 2 receptions for 22 yards on that drive to score. But it just everything that you can imagine for Detroit, it just looked really good. Um, let's see here. Going into the obviously this is the second quarter. Washington makes a touchdown with Chris Rodriguez with a 1 yard run, 10 plays, 75 yards took 6 minutes and 2 seconds off. It was, I'm not going to bicker and complain about that, but you don't want your offense on the field that long, but it 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 happens. Detroit's next drive was 13 plays, 64 yards, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. I think this is I think the it was uh not a big deal. It's just a field goal. So Zach Ertz made a hell of a catch in the second quarter to keep that drive going for that field goal for them. But if you want to look into, I don't know. I thought I saw something here. Oh yeah, okay. So in the third quarter, let's talk about that. Jameson Williams flip into the end zone in a touchdown. Great play, great fun. Everyone's touching the football. You can't say much more about Detroit than just the fact that they're just having a lot of fun. I mean, Dan Campbell looked like he was having a lot of fun. He was, he was just. I mean, I am more ecstatic that Dan Campbell is making the play calls for Detroit. I like the idea that he is going to be more involved. He's just going to have to he's just going to know more about the defense of each team and how they play against Detroit and how to if you can get a head coach to understand how to run the offense and defense, if you can get a guy like Dan Campbell to understand what play calls to make and what kind of audibles you want for each play call if needed, I mean, more bully to you. I mean, I don't know if I want John Morton to be making play calls anymore if it's going to be static and nothing going on. And I know that we're giving John Morton a lot of crap, I guess you could call it. But if you don't produce points and if you don't go for your strong strengths, Montgomery and Gibbs on the ground and St. Brown and Laporta. And if you don't go to Jameson Williams, I mean, what good are they on the field if you're not going to throw the football to at least Mr. Williams? I mean, the one thing that we have to kind of realize that Jameson Williams, is running his routes. He's not running down 25 yards straight out or 40 yards straight out and throwing the bomb to him every time. He's running those routes. He's running those slants. He's going into motion, and everything just seems to be working very, very well. The one thing that we should be concerned about a little bit is probably Sewell, the offense line guy. He went out a couple times with a injury. Don't know much more about that injury itself, but it was, Sewell. I mean, Sewell. He just, if we start losing guys like left and right to the offense defense line, that could be hampering the rest of the season. Not much heard of Hutchinson, but it's a good day when you don't have to go to your big guy, Aiden Hutchinson, to do all the work. You had Branch with a sack and a half. Minora just couldn't. He just didn't see Branch coming along at all. I think that Jared Goff didn't really get pressure that bad as well. So everything just seemed to be running really well. I mean, if we look at these stats, team stats, if you look at these team stats, I mean, Detroit had 30 first downs. Washington only had 14. Total plays, Detroit had 68. They had 51. Total yards, 548, 46 yards. Total drives, each team had 9 drives. Yards per drive was 8 yards for Detroit, 5.6 for Washington. Now, Washington, when they did get the ball and when they moved the ball down the field, when things were going good for them, they were able to move the ball. Passing yards, 320 yards for Jared Goff, obviously. Went over his stats, or 25 for 35. Yards per pass was 9.1. It plays up big when you got Laporta, you got even Jameson Williams and St. Brown involved. Rushing, 226 yards between Gibbs and Montgomery. Rushing attempts, 33 for Detroit, 6.8 for per yards for Detroit. The red zones, 4 for 6. Penalties for Detroit was 3 penalties. Turnovers, 0. Either team had 0 turnovers. Time of possession, Detroit had 32 minutes. Washington only had 27 minutes of possession. But everything, if you just look at, and if we have to go to the box score, I'll go to the box score here. Why not? So if you go to the box score, I mean, David Montgomery even had 15 carries for 71 yards. His longest was 12. Jamal Gibbs, 15 carries, also 15 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. The longest one is 43-yard touchdown run for Gibbs. When you look down at receptions, you had 6 receptions for Williams, 6 receptions, 119 yards, and 1 touchdown. The longest one was 41 yards. Amon St. Brown, 5 receptions, 58 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 targets. I think he maybe Sam Laporta, 5 receptions, 53 yards, 5 targets. So every time they went to Laporta, it just works. You got to go. You have to stick with Laporta. You have to stick to. There's 2 things I wanted to talk about. If you stick with the running game, you stick with Laporta, everything's going to look great. Obviously, you're going to always go to St. Brown on 3rd and shorts or 3rd and longs, and you can always depend on St. Brown in the middle of the field, trying to find an open spot in the zone defense or a defense that's broken down. Isaac Tesla had 1 reception for 11 yards. Got a shout out to him. Jamal Gibbs, 3 receptions for 30 yards. Khalif Raymond had 4 receptions or for 49 yards. 18 was his longest, 4 targets. So even Khalif Raymond is doing his job. I mean, they're all doing their job. Everyone's touching the football. You had at least 7 guys. Even David Montgomery had a reception with no yards, but still, you had everyone on the field, everyone playing very good. Um, I guess we got to talk about. I'm going to talk about one more thing, not Detroit Lions, but we got to talk about. Um, we got to talk about this guy. I think I can get this guy involved. Oh wait a second. Can I do this? I don't know if I can. So yeah, okay. So in order for me to talk about this, I have to do this first. I'm gonna do this, remove, and then add this guy. So I gotta talk about this now. Let's be honest. Detroit Pistons versus the I think the Capitals, the Washington Capitals, which was ironic that they were hosting the Washington Capitals. Uh, Cade Cunningham had 46 points, 12, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. I can't. I don't know if this is right. I don't even know if this is right. Yeah, but here, yeah, he sure did. I'm gonna take this apart. But here you go, folks. Cade Cunningham. What can you say for Detroit Pistons? A lot of people didn't really think that he was going to be the elite player. He's a bit of a sleeper for Detroit. In a lot of ways, I didn't expect Cade Cunningham to be any good, but he's just efficient player. Reminds me a lot of the same Brown. Not a explosive personality, not an explosive man, but it's just consistent. And that's what St. Brown and that's what Cade Cunningham and a lot of like even old Detroit Piston players are. You know, you had Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. You had Barry Sanders, the great Barry Sanders, Billy Sims. Um, Guys that didn't seem to be your elite players, just making a difference. Detroit Pistons made a comeback. Uh, I think Darness. Let me see here. I think Dennis Jenkins tied the game against the Washington Capitals. They just kind of left him by himself, and he shot a 3-pointer and tied the game. So, shout out to Mr. Jenkins and everything else. Every Detroit team's doing really well. The Red Wings are doing pretty well. The Pistons are doing pretty well. The Lions, I know they're doing great. They have to play against Philadelphia Eagles next week. This game might be a little mystery game for Detroit. It's at the Eagles. And I think the scary thing about this is that they didn't play so well against Green Bay Packers. And I think a lot of people are upset about the Green Bay Packers in Philadelphia Eagles game because it looks sloppy as hell. Slop. Nothing but slop. So if you watched it, I don't know. I might have to watch that game to see what happened with, Barkley and in Philadelphia quarterback or anything. I maybe have to watch that game to see what's going on with that. But based on that score, the Eagles won by 10-7 and Detroit winning 44-22. We might have the upper hand in this because it's more of an urgency for Detroit to keep winning. And I'm not saying the Eagles don't have an urgency to win, or they have every right to make it to the Super Bowl as well. But Detroit, there's something different about Detroit. We have to get there. It is almost like a now or never thing for Detroit. Within the next 3 years, I'm saying three. This is in the next year. I'm going to say 2 years, and the following year I'm going to say 1 year. It's all about base contracts, about Detroit Lions players, on who's on the contract and everything else. So we have a 4 year. Within the span, we have at least 5 starters in Detroit Lions staff, players that are under a 4 to 3 year contract now. So we have about 4 to 3 years left to make anything happen. So look, folks, if you enjoy the podcast, let me know. Let me know if I'm wrong about something about John Morton, or if I'm right about Dan Campbell. Are you feeling the excitement that I am? Let me know. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on Apple. Follow me on YouTube, Patreon. Subscribe, pay Patreon, please. It helps my channel. It helps everybody out there to do my job better. So, all right, folks, I'm out of here. Peace, love, and cheers.